Oh yeah, sexy biscuits. Nice.
Long Boys Blues, 1975. A YouTuber who's on the rise. Reviewing games late at night and sometimes friends. But Long Boys Blues, 1975.
Hey YouTube, Long Boys Post 1975 and another comic book video. I love doing these videos even if no one else watches them. But I found my original 1991 copy of Batman Judge Dredd Judgement on Gotham. $2.95. This is a one-shot special that's obviously by 2000 AD. But yeah, it's a single one-shot. There were 4 excuse me, Judge Dredd Batman crossovers. I own this, and I own the third one. I think it's the third one, which is art by Glenn Fabry. I never had the second one. My brother had that because I wasn't a massive fan of Mike Mignola artwork when I was a kid, which is kind of stupid really, because as an adult, mainly thanks to Hellboy, I absolutely love and adore it. And the fourth one, I don't know. They were the smaller size issues as well, because this is your traditional British size comic, or more so standard 2000 AD size comic. In the US, this was, you know, like a standard, you know, Batman DC comic sized comic. That got away from me. But yeah, this was an absolute massive deal. In 1990, we just finished the well, we started and finished, I should say, Necropolis, and Judge Death. They captured and imprisoned in Boyne all the other dark judges, all their spirits, but they did not capture Judge Death. He jumped off the top of a mega block and just kind of like disintegrated along the way. I'm not sure how. I don't know if there was a story that filled it in the magazine, which explains how he ended up getting to Gotham. But this essentially, as far as I can recall, takes place, you know, isn't this the next Judge Death story after Necropolis? I mean, there was probably, what, the magazine, Boyhood of a Super Fiend, but that's young Judge Dredd, so that's not chronological to Necropolis. Judge Dredd, old Judge Death. Old Judge Death? He's dead, Dave. But also, around about 1990, 1991, that was peak. I was at the peak of my love of 2000 AD, having been indoctrinated to it in the 80s, mid to late 80s, which you'll know if you saw my let's have a look at some 1980s 2000 AD issues. But yeah, I was absolutely loving it. I was 14 going into 15 in 1991. So and obviously in 1989 would be when Batman, the original movie, came out, which is still the best Batman movie, still my favourite Batman, still has the best Joker, and still has the best Batman. These are fact. If you disagree, don't care. So I was, you know, big into Judge Dredd, and also, you know, a couple of years later, and I was reading a few American issues of it, big into Batman. But what's interesting is, well, more so into Judge Dredd, I'm rooting for Dredd in this comic, absolutely rooting for Dredd in this comic, make no mistake about that. Yeah, also, did I mention $2.95 in 1991? That's £8.09 adjusted for inflation now, which is about the price of... Is it the price of a graphic novel? Probably not, Dave. Probably not. So, when this got announced, you know, it absolutely blew my mind. It was like, holy shit. There's going to be a Batman Judge Dredd crossover. I don't... well, I'm assuming it probably began live, simply because, obviously, I wouldn't say it was a relationship between DC Comics and 2000 AD, because, you know, the subdivision of DC, they're Vertigo brand, which was a more adult-based, you know, sort of comic books, had been pinching a whole bunch of 2000 AD artists and writers for years. So I'm assuming that, you know, in DC, in the States at that point, there was a contingency of ex 2000 AD, you know, writers and artists. And so that led to, you know, this collaboration. But yeah, this blew my mind as a kid. I could not wrap my head around the fact that Judge Dredd and Batman were going to have a crossover. And the team for it is the stuff of legends. Simon Bisley. So in 1990, obviously his seminal masterpiece, The Horned God, Slain the Horned God, had finished, you know, started and finished in 2000 AD, maybe even run into 1991. Don't know. And that blew me away. And so he's at the peak of his powers and his popularity. And so the fact that they announced that he was going to do this, you know, is mind-blowing. I don't think he'd ever drew Judge Dredd, like a strip at least, before then. And he certainly hadn't done Batman, although I could be wrong on that. Alan Grant. So obviously at this point Alan Grant is in the States, I'm assuming. But yeah, so legendary Alan Grant, and obviously John Wagner, who along with Carlos Ezquerra created Judge Dredd. So this book, they never gave it, at least in 2000 AD. I knew it was coming out, but it's like they didn't really give you a heads up on when it was coming out. It just sort of came out. So for months I kept looking for this everywhere. In all the newsagents I would visit as a kid, and then it was there one day. I was in a newsagent in Bedminster High Street, and it was a brilliant little newsagent because they sold US comics as well. And unlike other British newsagents, they didn't stick the fucking sticker on it to say that it was a direct edition in the UK, which you could never get off without ripping the cover. So boring man, in fact, I thought I'd tell that. But yeah, so this showed up and I was happy as a pig in shit, and it did not disappoint. It's absolutely fantastic. Of the three I've read, it's clearly the best one. But yeah, so you have your creative team down there, you have all your, you know, like details of when it was released and stuff like that, all your legal jargon there. Writers, Alan Grant, John Wagner, artists, Simon Bisley, letterer, Todd Klein. And just right out of the bat, it's colour and it's painted. And it's phenomenal artwork. I mean, you would expect it to be because it's Simon Bisley. But it's even better than the stuff he did on the Horned God. But anyway, Bat transitioning into a couple who are making out. And then, oh look, Judge Death shows up and kills them both. Because he has come to judge you. And he's in Gotham now. Like I said, not sure how he got here, but look at Bisley's Batmobile. Also, Simon Bisley, back in the day, there were two of them, weren't there? That I don't know, ended up in the public, you know, domain or whatever. And he owned a 1989 Tim Burton Batmobile that he drove around. He had it like, this is what I read, he had it made road legal, but that's just epic. Look at it. Look at it. Look at it, Miles. Look at it. But yeah, the artwork is phenomenal. And then we get our first, you know, picture of Batman, and you can hear the scream from the couple that Judge Death's killing, or has just killed. But that's insane. Absolutely insane. His depiction of Gotham's amazing as well. The police show up. They cannot, stop Judge Death, because you cannot kill what does not live. And then I love that, yeah, his hands could like warp through people, couldn't they? But yeah, so he kills the one police officer. He's about to kill the other police officer. Then Batman kicks him in the chops. Again, the artwork is amazing. Batman basically hands him his ass. Police officer shat his pants, doesn't know what's going on. Judge Death escapes. And then, oh yeah, and Batman, he's got the, I mean, obviously we know he had a teleportation device, but the reason I'm saying I don't know how he got to Gotham is because his body, his physical form, disintegrated at the end of Necropolis. But yeah, so Batman's got his dimension jumping device, and it takes him to the future and Mega City 1. Again, look at the artwork. So he's obviously, you know, having a brain warp going right here, and he runs into Mean Machine Angel. Again, this is probably the best depiction I've ever seen of Mean Machine Angel. So Batman and Angel face off, and basically, as you would expect, Batman hands Mean his ass, because obviously he's not just the world's greatest detective, basically the world's greatest fighter, pugilist, if you will. And then obviously Batman comes across Judge Dredd, and obviously he's a vigilante, and that's illegal. And Dredd don't like vigilantes. Look at his Dredd as well. So he arrests him. Judge Anderson, cheeky, is having visions of Judge Death and Batman, it would appear. I forgot how good this looks. So anyway, he's demasked Batman. He's Bruce Wayne. And then he gets Anderson to read his mind, which, as you can imagine, is not a pretty place. Weird. That's what he says. Weird. Look at it. It's the stuff of nightmares. So obviously we've got Joker up here, Catwoman, and a whole myriad of the then 1991 villains. But yeah. Anyway, so Dredd's basically just reading him the law. You know, you're a vigilante and shit like that. And he's, you know, he's explaining that, you know, he's come from the past. To be fair, you wouldn't think it was technically his fault and he shouldn't nick him, but Dredd's a stickler, isn't he? And he's talking about, you know, obviously he's seen Judge Death, and Judge Death is loose in Gotham and he needs to get back there to stop him. And then after Dredd reads him the riot act, you know, like, you know, you're going down this shit, Batman lamps Dredd. This bit I love, and Dredd just stands there and he takes it. And this was great because, like I said, I was rooting for Dredd. And he just takes the punishment, because as he's taking the punishment, he's just reading out, you know, the sentence going up, basically. But, so, Anderson essentially helps. Oh yeah, the Scarecrow's in it. I forgot about that. That's back in Gotham, obviously. But, yeah. And he teams up with Judge Death. And the great thing, or the spirit of Judge Death at this point, because his body's been destroyed. But Anderson teams up with Batman, and they use the dimension jumping device. Tell me that that's not cool. To travel back to Gotham City. Anyway, Death and Scarecrow. Oh yeah, Mean Machines. He's gone back as well. It's just a party going on in Gotham, isn't it? Basically. But yeah, where is it? Oh yeah, he convinces Scarecrow to take him to, well, he convinces Scarecrow to take him to the morgue because he needs a new body. So he uses, I'm not sure how he got the dead fluids, gets a motorbike helmet, scratches the visor to make it look like his helmet. This is fucking brilliant. A joint of ribs to put on his shoulder. So we have a reimagined Judge Death for Gotham City, dressed with his equivalent of the closest he could get to his garbs of justice from the future. But yeah, dead bird, ribs, amazing, absolutely brilliant stuff. Anyway, I forgot all that, spoilers. They have an argument, and because I think he owes the judge Scarecrow. It's been a while since I read this, literally 25 years, and so Scarecrow uses his fear, you know, stuff on him, chemical spray, inducement, whatever, and this is what scares Death. Brilliant. Anyway, Batman and Anderson are going after Death. You know what, it's pretty decent size. Dredd is following them, but you could argue at this point, then couldn't he be arrested while he's back in the past? Batman is talking to the police and they're trying to work out where. What would you be thinking? I mean, I guess if you're a police officer and you accept Batman, then you'd accept this weird future police officer, wouldn't you? But yeah, so him and Anderson are going after him. He's gone to a heavy metal concert at this point because, of course, Living Death in concert. Amazeballs. He kills the bouncers easily, and then I just can't. He gets on stage and starts playing the guitar. Yeah, this is a bit more tongue in cheek than I remembered. A bit more tongue in cheek than your standard sort of crossover. But yeah, bites a person's head off because why not? It's chicken on his arm. Because Bisley did this. He did incredibly serious and awesome looking stuff. And then his style every now and then would go into a kind of cartoony one. I loved it. Anyway, he's killing all the other band members. Look at it. The headless corpse. Yeah, amazeballs. And then Mean Machine is going after him. He's in the audience. Batman beats Mean Machine up because he's at the concert as well now. And look, these one-page splash panels are amazing. So Batman faces off against Death. Dredd shows up again. Look at that, absolutely fantastic. A buckow. And then they face off again. A big fight. And Dredd and Batman together basically defeat Death. Anderson traps the spirit, and then they take Mean Machine back to the, well, Dredd takes Mean Machine back to the future, and he lets Batman off, and that's pretty much it. The end. I haven't done it justice. I am aware of that. You get little blurbs on all three of the creative team, and what's on the back. The back of the cover, The Ultimate Lawman versus the Dark Knight Detective, and why heroes clash in Gotham City, the psychos are running riot. But yeah, just a quick little look at, because I forgot I had this, and I forgot what an absolutely amazing comic it is. Like I said, it does descend into kind of silliness. I like it for that reason. Silliness later on. It's not a particularly serious crossover, which you would argue most people probably would have expected it to be because it's Dredd and Batman. But everyone I know that's ever read this thinks it's an absolute masterpiece and loves it, and obviously mainly because of the superb Simon Bisley artwork. But yeah, I was so excited for this when it came out, and like I said, waiting for it to finally hit the shelves was absolute bloody murder for me as a kid, because as I said at the start of this video, I was at peak 2000 AD powers at this point, and also into Batman. But like I said, more so Dredd. Dredd was my boy in this comic book, and yeah, Dredd could totally take Batman. I'm sorry, but he could. But yeah, I might see if I can find my other one, but to be perfectly honest, I kind of view the Judge Dredd and Batman crossovers this is a one shot, a single issue really. I don't think it needed the other issues. But anyway, as always, I love to know what you think, especially if you have this back in the day. It's not in too bad nick, actually, is it? 34 years old. Just a little blunt on the corner. Anyway, thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you later.